Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's All You Can Geek Gamecast, episode 600. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gass, joined by Mike Sneedy,
What's up?
Corey Feinsod,
Ahoy!
and Tony Korkanakis.
Welcome,
guys. Oh, wow. Welcome, guys.
I had to keep it, man. My normal ahoy.
Breathing deep. Yes, welcome, listeners and viewers, to 600 of the Gamecast.
Just a minute.
What's that?
Just a minute. Just a minute.
We all streamed on Twitch on Saturday, guys. That recording is over on YouTube by the time you hear this. So check out the entire playthrough that we did through Turtles, the new Turtles Shredder's Revenge. We played on the hardest difficulty. I was Leonardo. Mikey was Mikey. Tony was April O'Neil, and Corey was Donatello. And we played all the way through the whole game on the hardest difficulty. It was a lot of fun. We did not have working microphones. We had a lot of technical difficulties, unfortunately, with USB resources on a computer, which was ridiculous in this day and age to have that problem, but we did. And so we couldn't get the audio working just right, but we did stream it anyway. So go ahead and check that out. You can watch our playthrough if you'd like to see a playthrough of the entire game on the hardest difficulty, again. So, but this is 600 of the Gamecast, a normal episode that we were going to go back the 100 episodes and discuss our thoughts of the last 2 years of podcasting. We've gone through some changes. We've gone through some weird times at gaming. Weird markets, great markets. I mean, gaming boomed. It really did.
New gen hardware.
Yeah. I mean, we got new hardware. Yeah, we're going to go over all of it. I mean, yeah, so maybe.
I didn't say games. I just said hardware.
We got vapor hardware, right? Vapor hardware, like it's just not there. But I think the first thing, like I'd like to discuss, guys, is that that booming of the industry. COVID was a weird time of transition for like the movies industry, where we were moving to online. Gaming just exploded, like profit wise. I mean, they had an insane 2020. Where, I mean, you could not repeat that the next few years. And I think 2021 did very well still, if I remember right. I don't remember the overall, but it almost matched it. And only this year have we finally started to see a little bit of a decline based on the month-to-month stuff. But that's expected because of the amount those two years did. And also the fact that we just don't have any more games anymore. We were running out.
We have more games now, though, than we did then. Everyone was getting old stuff back then.
I think everybody's getting old stuff right now. I mean, there's some new stuff now, but there's none. I mean, you're right. I guess you're right.
The first half of this year was pretty action-packed, I think, gaming-wise.
Yeah, I think that the industry, like, I mean, obviously, you're stuck at home. What are you going to do? You know, I mean, I think that was the big thing for 2020, right? And 2021, because a lot of people still stayed at home. You know, there's a lot of still homeschooling stuff going on. There was a lot of that.
Yeah.
A lot of times. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Oof.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
I mean, collectibles, talk about it, like exploded. Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, it was a crazy time, and like, but the other thing you have to mention, the other part was amazing was accessory sales took off because you're stuck at home with a lot of people, and you're buying controllers like crazy for other people.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean,
And
it
I
makes
mean, that's the
sense.
thing about gaming too, like online gaming, you can do with your friends. You can like have parties online and like voice chats and stuff online with your friends and can and do this a similar thing together where you can't go out together. So you can spend time with your friends on a computer or in front of a console or something and have a lot of fun that way. So yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was yeah hit perfect. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There's a lot of games that were like that. Like you said, a lot of nostalgia came back into play where you were playing a lot of the older games too that we used to play. There was, I mean, Mike, you ended up booting up your Genesis, if I remember right, where you got the Genesis Classic, right?
Yeah. I got some of this stuff right here, actually.
There it is. Yeah,
um,
yeah,
but yeah, so, but no, I do that occasionally, every now and then, but definitely when there were some gaps in some new games, I would go back and yeah, I went through quite a few of my old Genesis games with varying degrees of success depending on which retro emulator I was using, but um, no, it's always there, and as I'm sort of building my corner here right now, I'm getting more and more retro stuff. I got a Dreamcast in here now.
and
Ooh.
there's
So
retro TV there. Yep, for
yeah,
it, for up TV that
yep.
can run that stuff better. Yeah.
And I might need it for the rest of the summer because there's now we hit the gap in this year, but we're not talking about this year right now.
No, I mean, the the industry. We can talk about the games side of things, I guess. It's been a weird up and down, I guess, 2 years, right? I mean, it's been you get an explosion of releases of games, whether they be finished or not, which we'll get to in a second. Uh, and then you get utter silence of games. And like this year, we've talked about Elden Ring so many times in the podcast, just flipping back through the episodes that just recently to try to figure out what we used to discuss. And I saw so many Elden Ring conversations, but it's because the year hasn't really had a ton of stuff. I mean, it has had Horizon. Don't get me wrong. It's had Tiny Tina, but it really had one big standout game for a lot of people, and that would be that. And Elden Ring, which is why we talked about it so much. And then later in this year, though, what's coming this year? This is where I think we're starting
We
to
got
feel the 2020 2021 uh, delay issue where we're starting to get no work for 6 months without a doubt started causing that lag of delays. And I think we're getting some of that now. If we should have gotten it more from games that weren't finished, but I think we're getting that more now. I think like
I felt I feel like
Microsoft on that. So
I,
yeah,
I kind of disagree. I feel like we felt it more last year. I think
maybe last year. You're
I
right.
think
Maybe last
because last year we had what, like, my game of the year was Halo. Um,
year. Yeah.
and what was the game that everyone else chose? There was
My
something
game was
else that
Outriders last year. I mean, that's where we're at. Outriders.
last year was rough, I think.
I
Yeah.
took Metroid. I took Metroid. Yeah.
So I mean, this year, the first half of this year was front loaded. I think you had that Dying Light game, you had Horizon, you had Elden Ring, We have like Strikers now. You had
Gran
there's another
Turismo,
there's another
Tiny
Nintendo
Tina's.
release, right? Tiny.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, Kirby. There's been a lot for the first 6 months of the year. You normally don't have stuff, but I think almost all this was meant to come out last fall. um,
Mhm.
yeah, that's right. So there was a lot. Now the rest of this year, not so much. We have a couple games that we expect bad things from, like Sonic Frontiers and Gotham Knights,
Mhm.
coming in fall. But yeah, I think we have a pretty healthy first half of this year. But I think last year was a bit of a rough patch. I think
Yeah,
personally, I didn't see
I
much
mean,
to get last
listen,
year,
we had
2021.
Metroid, which was a great game. Don't get me wrong, but like I remember coming up with my game of the year last year list, and it was really I didn't play much. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't a lot. So I
Mhm.
get that, and then this year's gonna be the same way though. I mean, it's Elden Ring. A lot of it for me. Just I might play some other couple things to make the list, but like the
Seems
Turtles game
too.
was great. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
it's definitely a quiet fall coming. I think with the big, at least Microsoft and Sony not having anything really big for themselves. I think. I mean, was it God of War still has a shot, right? Is that what we're hearing? But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That rumor has
Get
it.
to play Last of Us on PS5, built from the ground up.
yeah,
Again.
right. I don't want to play that again. I've already played it twice. I played it multiple times. Don't get me wrong. I played it on all the difficulties on PS3. No, I played it on PS4 like that. So, but yeah, I don't want to play that. So, but yeah, I mean, 2020 was a year where we played. There were still some good games that year because we had the back trail. Yeah, yeah, there were some very good games here. So yeah, that's true. Um, there's a
What
lot
was
of good
our
games.
what was our stuff for 2020 of the year? I didn't catch that one.
Um, I have to look up, but
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Final Fantasy.
yeah,
I mean, this was like that's because like this was right before the pandemic, so everything was coming out, and then
Hmm.
mhm, yeah, 2020 was great.
Oh yeah, that.
Hmm. And we got the new hardware 2020 that had no games
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's funny.
and no consoles too. Like you can't, you still have trouble getting them. Yep. Mhm.
And I think it's like $600 or $700 now for like a PlayStation
Yeah.
5.
That's that's what I wanted to move into as well. Is during the pandemic, we had a launch of both systems, the Xbox Series and the PS5. Um, and to this day, you can still a lot of people can still ask have they launched because it's like
Yeah.
you can't find them.
No.
Uh, they're overpriced if you can, and
Hardly
like
anything is exclusive.
per
Actually, nothing
yes,
almost.
and hardly anything is like the premier game. Like, there's really just a couple. Um, so I mean, was it a good launch? Either.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, the game I was going to talk about was the game that was unfinished. Cyberpunk apparently runs just fine on the current gen.
No, it does. I played a little bit, but by the end of all the patches, I was probably okay on a PS4 Pro. I don't remember, but Horizon, I'm not sure because I did get the new system for that. I hear it's pretty good on PS4 Pro as well, though. So, I mean, it's built for both.
Yeah,
We're
right
not
now it's
getting
more just visual quality and
load times.
load times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than
Yeah.
that, yeah. But like, is it worth the extra money? Probably not.
Yeah. I think I mean, the launches were just not great. There's not enough supply for the chips. We are
We've
we
never had
ourselves
this
have talked about
happen
the Switch
before.
Pro. Huh? What's that?
We've never had something like this happen where these systems come out and they're just so unavailable for so long. Like the chip
Yeah.
shortage, it's never really happened to this injury that I remember
No.
like this before.
Yeah. Everything gone. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And then
I
we have
mean, numbers wise, they'll both look like they did really well. And I mean, they did, I guess,
well,
but
they
it's
sell what they can
awful
make.
launches.
They sell what they can make. Yeah. Well, I mean, they can't make enough. And then like I said, I don't blame them. We talk about the Switch Pro every year, and I don't blame them for not launching the Switch Pro because there's no chips. Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that?
Mhm.
So you know, and you have the $70 games now. Is that a big adjustment for everybody now? Have we even noticed that?
I mean, I think you get sales. You get so many sales that I haven't noticed.
It's a
Yeah.
pretty
So
small window where they're actually that expensive, number one. And number two,
yeah,
I accidentally bought one game that way once
Mm.
so far.
60.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, $50.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I know
Okay.
Target had it for 50 like a bunch of times too. So
Yeah.
like I mean
Yeah.
that's the thing, you're seeing sales a lot, so mhm.
Yeah. So I'm just
No,
following
it
up
was
with that.
before. It was before the stuff was going
Because
because I know we talked about it.
we were talking
Um,
about it in September of 2020. Talking about it. Yep. Yep. Yep.
mm,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, we talked about. I'm looking at our podcast here. $70 for next gen games? Question mark!
Yes.
Exclamation
It
point!
was
Exclamation
September,
point!
wasn't it?
That was July 8th,
Oh,
2020,
July 8th. Okay.
and we used the meme of the guy looking at a different girl with his girlfriend.
Yeah. So there was definitely the controversy with the sort of shitty way they did it with Horizon, but they're sort of
Mhm.
they said that it would be a free upgrade, then they're like, not really, and then in the end they're like, all right, we'll do that, but we'll make it confusing and hard to choose, which is what happened. But And
Yeah, no, I mean,
I mean,
there's no way. There's no way. Like, I remember specifically, I was like, "There is no way that's gonna be PS5 exclusive." It's
yeah, I think because I feel like it was obviously built on the PS4.
yeah. I mean,
It's just a DLC that got bigger, really. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I
you
mean,
know,
there's
just like
nothing
it's too big of a
inherently.
market at the time. There's no way
There's
they're gonna
nothing.
just let it go. But that's what they
There's not.
needed. Like, that's what you need to do. A new
Yeah,
system. You need that exclusive.
but there's nothing inherently offensive about the $70 price tag. Obviously, like video games have been inflation proof for so long, it makes no sense almost. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
100% increase compared
Yeah.
to.
Moving to another topic. Did COVID accelerate the kill of E3, or was it just about to explode anyways? Because E3 is now dead, pretty much. So we've gone digital in terms of showcases. Did COVID cause that?
Of course it did. There would have
Yeah, I
been
think
in the
that's
E3s
accelerated.
the last 2 years, including this year. There might have not
Yeah.
have been as full fledged as we remember in the past, but now that there's a risk and a reason, then everyone's like, all right, fuck it, we'll do our own thing, or just
No,
do Jeff
but
Keighley's thing.
Mike, to Tony's point, that's the point. There was never a reason. Like you don't have to do that. Like you could be. That's what we talked about even last episode before 600. We talked about like
I know
E3
we
doesn't have to
just talked
exist.
about this. Well,
Yeah,
nothing has to exist. What does that mean, though? I mean, they did it because they wanted to do it.
I
And I
mean
mean, what
showcase
it was
like
for before, like we talked, like it wasn't for the consumer, it was for the
they
industry
used to
people.
have, but they used to have like digital showcases for everybody to see. Then like you can watch the live feed of their presentation at
Sure.
E3. Um, Now it's just they can do it online and show you. They can pre-record it. They can just do whatever they want with the show. You don't have to worry about crashing items. And
No, you can curate the content because it's not live. Sure.
And
Yeah,
another factor in this is on both sides, uh, both consumer and producer or developer, they both have less respect for the journalists than ever before.
yeah,
As now more just independent streamers get more cachet in the industry, and and events like E3 are pretty much catered towards the professional journalists. And now that the companies are like, I don't need to deal with these people anymore, and there's you know the, there's the average customer doesn't, game journalist has become a dirty word in the last few years, for whatever reason. So now they just sort of skip them completely because you don't need a credential anymore. You can just see it. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I don't necessarily believe it is.
Ah,
I think those are.
yeah,
I
no,
think
I
they're.
mean
I
that's
think those
absolutely
are all
accelerated
like
that too.
past their prime. But yes.
I mean, that's the thing is like you can get a fanboy of your content and just have them
Yeah.
talk
You
about your
don't.
stuff and give them money for it too. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. You don't need any critical thinking to worry about, or actual peer reviewed stuff. But
I mean, like influencers, like that's huge now. That's again, we talked about in the movie cast streaming and what are you watching? What are you doing? Like you're watching
yeah,
Twitch streamers now. You're living vicariously through other people. So
yeah. No, I mean, I think that it's a good thing that we've gone to individual showcases for these events, which I liked anyways. I still do like them happening in June. I still like that time of year for gaming. I've said this many times. But, I think having these digital showcases gives them also throughout the entire year show us more things and not have to show us not have to show us a game that's not even ready. And I think that's another big transition we're starting to see finally, as Microsoft made a huge announcement at their presentation that nothing will be shown within the 12-month window. And I say that in quotes if those are not watching, because I expect some of those games to get delayed out of the 12-month window. But uh, sure, yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and like I said, it lets them showcase games that are closer to being finished, so you can actually get excited for those games rather than think about something for, like Metroid 4 or Beyond Good and Evil 2. That's pretty much what you don't have to worry about. You get these lower windows, and I think that's the way the industry has now been trending. I like that. That's much better for us all.
I hope so.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So I like that. I like that part of that transition. The last 100 episodes, it's amazing we finally moved into that. The last thing I have on my list was company sales. We've seen an increase of that over these last 100 episodes too. Yeah, yeah. So
Hmm.
I mean, we had
Yep.
Bethesda got bought by Microsoft.
Consolidation.
Yep. Um,
Hmm.
what are some of the biggest ones we've had? With Bethesda, Blizzard, obviously recently. Um, Sony bought. Well, they invested in Bungie. Did they buy Bungie?
Hmm.
I
They
should have
bought
bought them.
Bungie. Mhm. That
Bought
came
them.
like right after Activision's announcement. So
Yeah,
Microsoft.
who did they invest in though? They invested. They bought more shares in. What was the company? There's somebody. Sony also
Was there
invested
it was
deeply.
was there Housemark? That was someone.
Well, they
I don't
bought
remember.
It's a
Housemark. They
little
bought Insomniac, I think.
I
Yep.
can't remember. Epic. Epic. I think they. No, it's Epic. Yeah, it's Epic. Yeah. I couldn't remember the name of the. I was like, who? It's a big company. I'm like, they didn't buy them, but they have a huge portion of their company. Yeah. So I mean, we've been seeing this contraction of companies. In fact, we've heard recently as
A
much as
lot of
EA.
Chinese companies like NetEase, like they're just investing so much, getting big,
Mhm.
yep,
Yeah, yeah,
big,
we've
big
heard EA might be
percentages.
on the block. EA might be on the block.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
yeah. I'm shocked though. We discussed in the beginning of the podcast the boom of the industry in terms of sales, uh, but that doesn't necessarily translate into a profitable company. I guess in terms of the cost of games, right? Is that what it really is the problem?
Well, like we talked about how like what COVID is affecting like game development, right? But you have to like remember like the way that these companies have to operate completely flipped on its head because now you couldn't have people in a studio all together, so they all had to get sent home and working from home, and so then you need to provide the equipment to these people to be able to do that, and so every like if you didn't have like the cash flow to be able to do that, you're just basically dead in the water. You just shut down at that point. So you did have a lot of smaller companies like closing it or getting bought out or merging with other larger companies because they couldn't afford to operate in the you know the pandemic because of how you couldn't be
Yeah,
together. And
yeah,
so yeah, it was tough for a lot of smaller companies or developers that didn't have an excess of funds to be able to withstand, the changes that they had to make in order to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of now overhead though, like wise. I mean, virtual staff pretty much. You don't really even need to keep a location anymore. You almost can just do an entire company virtually with everything working online. Um, I feel like
Some
that should help
companies
the
can
industry.
work that way. Yeah. I don't think all companies can work that way.
No, not all of them, but you can have that. Yeah, a lot of employees now work virtually, especially in the gaming industry. They work online. They don't actually go into the office. So um, that that's it. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's it. Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. No, that's absolutely, and that's why I think that would help the industry in terms of just overall cost.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll see how that works out. But I do think that, like we've mentioned before in multiple podcasts, we're still going to see some more contraction before we see that other end of the because just game costs have gotten too astronomically expensive. It really has, and the prices of games have not followed it enough to counter out the costs of what a game costs to develop. So you know, yeah, yeah,
I mean, look at how Fortnite's blown up, Apex Legends. It's like, mm,
yeah, yeah,
mm.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
No, they They
Yeah.
still
Yeah, you want
are
that
planning
monthly income. Yeah.
expansions. It's funny you think of that, these 2 years. It's all been like cyberpunk and waiting for it to be done. Still waiting for it to
Yeah.
be done.
Yeah.
Um,
It's true.
it's funny though. You can't think about these last 2 years for me without thinking a bit about Game Pass, and how early on in the pandemic, for me at least, there was nothing coming out, and that's where I found myself playing games I wouldn't normally play, like
Yeah.
like
Definitely.
Yakuza. I think is started my whole obsession with that franchise. I think started early pandemic, like 2020. I think I played Yakuza 0,
Mhm.
and yep, and I went through all of them since then. Well, all the ones on Game Pass pretty much, and the Judgment series as well. And it's just been an interesting time to discover new stuff on Game Pass as well. I think I also saw I played Thronebreaker, which I would have never played. I don't think I finished that. That's the Witcher sort of Gwent spinoff. So definitely,
Mhm.
and we talked a bit about Game Pass these last 2 years and how sustainable it is, how it's been a godsend. And like we said, even this Turtles game that just came out is on Game Pass. It's pretty great. I actually
Yeah.
played a little more on that. I have obviously we played on the PlayStation 5 when we played, but I switched to Game Pass because I tried to get online with a 6-player party because there's just more people on there because it's on Game Pass, and it worked. Although the game itself does not work too well with 6 players, there was some crashes and stuff that happened. But either way, Game Pass has been a major part of these last 2 years for me. I don't know about you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Um, no, that was like when you talk about price of gaming, I'm like, I haven't really bought
Mhm.
a game. Elden Ring was one of the only games I've bought in a long time because a lot of it I've been playing on Game Pass. Um, yeah, I was trying to think back to. I mean, I Switch games. I bought a lot of Switch games. I got rid of my PS4 obviously, so that's. But I don't buy anything Xbox really. Um, so I didn't even recognize the $70 price tag thing because it doesn't affect me as much with the Game Pass thing going on. So
Mhm.
um,
Oh,
oh
so
my god, I forgot all about that game.
that was a hell of an episode.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I don't think I got the value out of it either, but I thought it was cool that like every Xbox or Microsoft first party game was on there day one, which is,
yeah,
you could definitely count on that, which is really cool. I would say that it was a very exciting thing, and I think that it's got, potential to be even better in the future. And Sony's, following suit now with their thing coming up soon. Like they're redoing PlayStation Plus. Uh, and so yeah, it's gonna change the way people play games and access games. And we talk about streaming in the movie cast, and yeah, we're getting more of that here because we're finally getting to the point where
yeah,
you could potentially do something to that effect. Because yeah, it's happening. But I
yeah,
mean, yeah.
yeah.
Mm,
No, 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 not a chance. So, yeah. So, I mean, it's been an interesting 100 episodes for sure in terms of the gaming industry, from a booms to company dooms, essentially. Like,
mm,
yeah, Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. And also, I'm sure it helps with that, social contact that you're not getting in the real world. Now you're getting that social aspect online with people where you can feel like you're getting out and feel like you're doing things, with other people that are, out there in the world, but doing it virtually, which is, again, the thing is like a lot of people talk about the actual virus, but like mental health was a huge thing for people. Like the cabin fever, the fact that you're disconnected from the people that you care about, or just people in general, physical contact with people. Like we as humans, we try to gather. Yeah, we gather into tribes, and we try to become more connected with people because we this is human nature is to try to connect with others, and
Yeah.
so yeah, you lose that when you're you're forced to stay inside your home and not be out there in the world. And so social gaming, I think, just like really skyrocketed because yeah, you needed to have that social aspect of your life that was missing somewhere. And as we talk on the movie cast, watching movies together on streaming services, playing games together. Fall Guys was one that kind of came out too. It's good timing for
That's
them,
right.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
came to the Game Pass. Yeah, yeah. Mhm. Definitely, yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I mean, gaming again, gaming brings you together, right? And most people don't think that, but that's the way it works.
Mhm.
So, yeah, yeah. So, anything else to add, Corey?
I just wanna say, like, that GameStop, stock craziness, that was
Yeah,
fun. That was
that's
fun
true.
time.
That's true. That was
The crypto. Yeah.
GameStop insanity.
Yep. Mhm.
Mhm.
What, it hit $500 at one point almost? So, like 500%. Jeez. I mean, that was just fun times. Those were good times. And like again, all that it was definitely because people had money. They weren't going out. They wanted to do something with it. Throw it at crypto, throw it at GameStop, throw it at all these memes. Wall Street bets was a thing. Yep. Hmm.
Yep, yep. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, yeah, it was interesting for sure. Stadia death too. Don't forget Stadia died during streaming time. Yeah, no, but it died in 2020. It should have been thriving during a lockdown pandemic.
Mm.
But Mike, anything you want to add?
Not anymore. We got the
We covered it
We
all,
hit it
right?
all. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
last 100 episodes is like a lot, but like I think of our 600 episodes, these last 100 were just the most crazy because of the
Yes.
pandemic. Things
I
that
don't think.
everything got flipped on its head. Movies plummeted, gaming skyrocketed. It's just like it is just crazy. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, and then so many obstacles, so many different things that we as humans, had to overcome. And where were we getting, the social part? Where were we getting the mental health part of it? And it was just very interesting times. So I don't know if we'll ever in our lifetime see something like this again, but hopefully not. I
I hope
hope
not.
not.
I hope
Yep.
not. So, all right. I think that's it for episode 600. Right.
all right.
Gonna wrap it up,
So
guys. Once again, we stream live on Twitch Tuesday nights starting at 8 o'clock. We do the movie cast and the game cast. We've been doing that for a while now, so tune in, guys. We streamed our, the TMNT Shredder's Revenge game on Twitch as well. So again, tune into our channel on occasion for that. YouTube as well. Thank you for listening for if it's the last 100 episodes or 600 episodes. We appreciate you guys out there without a doubt. That's going to be it for tonight, though. We'll see you guys for 601 next week. We're out.